right, so welcome back to the deep dive. We take a look at what everyone's talking about, break it down, figure out what's really important, what's interesting, and today we're going deep on Mendix GenAI.
Sounds pretty exciting.
It is. This is way more than just, another tech buzzword. We're going to be looking at how to give your Mendix apps some real AI power. And actually make it work, make it useful.
Yeah, forget about those funny AI fails that you see online, like the ones where the chatbot tells you to, I don't know, tape your keyboard to the ceiling to fix your internet connection. We're way past that now.
Right.
What we're talking about here is AI that can actually, think, be helpful, and Mendix GenAI has the tools to do just that.
Exactly. And the best part is we've got some really great Mendix documentation to guide us. They show you how to get started, whether you want to start with some pre-built templates or build your own AI-powered app from scratch using a blank GenAI app template. The key here is they use large language models, or LLMs.
The brains of the operation.
The brains of the operation, yeah.
Yeah.
And in case you haven't heard of LLMs, they are the powerhouse AI engines behind GenAI, and they're really good at understanding and creating text that sounds just like a human wrote it.
Yeah, they're pretty impressive.
Yeah. So our mission today, our deep dive, is to figure out how Mendix GenAI works and how it can help developers build apps that are not just, functional, but actually intelligent, helpful for people who are using them. We'll be taking a look at some key capabilities that make building these smart apps, well, easier than you might think.
Sounds good.
So first up, we have something called prompt engineering. Now, I know it sounds a bit technical, but it's basically just about how we talk to these AI models and get them to do what we want.
Yeah, it's all about communication. LLMs are really powerful, but they need clear instructions. That's where prompt engineering comes in. It's how we craft those instructions, how we write the text that tells the LLM what to do. By choosing the right words and structure, we can get these models to do some pretty amazing things, like a superhero.
Okay, so instead of just asking the AI to do something, we can guide it with much more precision.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you give us an example of what this would look like?
Sure. Let's say you want the AI to recommend a movie for you.
Okay.
The simple way would be to just say, recommend a movie. But if you want to get specific, really tap into the AI's potential, you'd use prompt engineering. You could say something like, you are a movie expert. You will ask the user a series of detailed questions to understand their preferences. You'll ask about genres, actors, directors, and the kind of mood they're looking for.
Oh, wow. So you're giving the AI a specific persona and instructions.
Exactly. So it's not just trying to guess what you want. It knows exactly what to do.
So it's like giving it a role to play, a playbook to follow.
Exactly.
That's really cool. So what are the key elements of a good prompt? Like, what makes a prompt really stand out?
A well-crafted prompt usually has 4 key parts. First, you've got the instruction. That's where you clearly tell the model what you want it to do.
Okay. Makes sense. What's next?
Then there's the context. This is any background information the model needs to understand the request, things that'll help it give you the best possible answer.
Right.
And then there's the input data. This is the specific information you're giving to the model, like the user's query. And lastly, you can define the desired output structure, like do you want the answer in a list, a paragraph, or maybe even a specific data format.
Okay, so it's all about being very specific so the AI knows exactly what we need.
Exactly. And the more details you give it, the better the AI can understand you and give you what you want.
Makes sense. Now, I know Mendix understands how important prompts are. They even have a prompt library to help with this.
Yeah, they do.
Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So the prompt library is basically a collection of ready-to-use prompts that you can use right away. They're designed to be effective and get you started quickly. And Mendix also provides extensive documentation on prompt engineering to help you become a pro.
That's really helpful. So it's all about empowering users to have more control over the AI and make it do exactly what they need.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the AI understanding our instructions. Now let's talk about function calling. In the documentation, they describe it as having a clever butler. Now, I can't help but picture an AI in a tuxedo.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Function calling allows these language models to connect with external tools and perform actions in the real world, or, in this case, within your Mendix application. It's like the AI knows when it needs to go beyond its knowledge base to get something done or start a process.
So the AI can actually initiate actions within our Mendix apps. It's not just about providing information.
Exactly.
So how does this work?
Okay, so let's say you ask the AI something. It looks at your request and figures out if it needs to get more information or trigger a function. In Mendix, these functions are what we call microflows. They're pre-built automated processes that do specific things.
Right, microflows. So the AI doesn't actually execute them directly.
Exactly. What it does is suggest which microflow should be called based on your request. It might even tell the microflow what information it needs to work with. Then the Mendix app takes over. It executes the microflow does its job, maybe it fetches some data, calculates something, or updates the database, and then the result of all that is sent back to the LLM. The LLM can then use this updated information to give you a more accurate and helpful answer.
That's amazing. So it's like the AI knows its limits and can ask for help when it needs it?
Exactly. It can identify what it needs, get it, and then use it to complete the task.
That is so cool. Can you give us a real-world example of this butler in action within a Mendix app?
Sure. Imagine you have a customer service chatbot built into your Mendix application. Someone asks, "What's John Doe's shipping address?" Now, the LLM might not know that information offhand, but it can recognize that it needs to get that address from your customer database. So through function calling, it suggests calling a specific microflow, like get customer shipping address function. And it tells the microflow, hey, I need the address for John Doe.
And then Mendix runs that microflow.
Exactly. The microflow finds John Doe's address in the database and gives it back to the LLM. Then the LLM can say, John Doe's address is 123 Main Street. So it didn't just guess, it used the Mendix app to find the exact answer, just like a helpful butler.
That's incredibly powerful. It's like giving the AI access to all the data and processes within our applications.
It is, and function calling can do even more than just retrieve data. It can also extract structured data from text, like figuring out dates and times from a user's request, or it can trigger actions in Mendix, like creating a new task or sending a notification.
So it can really streamline things and make apps more efficient.
Definitely. And the great thing about Mendix is that it handles a lot of the technical complexity of function calling through its connectors, like the OpenAI connector, Amazon Bedrock connector, and Mendix Cloud GenAI connector.
So you don't have to be an AI expert to use these features.
Not at all. Mendix makes it much easier to build these AI-powered features without needing to know all the ins and outs of AI infrastructure.
That's great. Now let's move on to AG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. I feel like this is about giving the AI access to a much larger and more specific knowledge base.
You got it. ARG is all about overcoming a big challenge with LLMs. They're trained on tons of data, but that data isn't always complete. It might not include the latest information, and it definitely doesn't include your company's own internal knowledge, like your documents and data.
So if I ask it about something that happened in our company last week, or about a company policy, it might not know the answer.
Exactly.
That's where Eric comes in.
Yeah. It gives the LLM access to your own data sources right when it's answering your question. Think of it like giving the LLM a huge library that's tailored to your needs.
So it's bridging the gap between general AI knowledge and the specific knowledge that's important to our company.
Precise.
I like that. So how does this actually work? How does the AI get access to this library?
RA has three main steps. First, there's retrieval. When you ask a question, a special engine searches your knowledge base for the most relevant information. And it's not just looking for keywords, it's actually trying to understand the meaning of your question.
Oh, wow. So it's really understanding what I'm asking.
Exactly. Once it finds the right information, the next step is augmentation. This is where that information is added to the prompt that gets sent to the LLM. So basically, your question is now combined with all this extra context.
Got it. And then what happens?
Then comes generation. The LLM uses this enriched prompt with your question and the extra context to create its answer. And because it has this specific up-to-date information, it's much more likely to give you a good answer.
So our RAG makes sure the AI isn't just guessing. It's using our own specific knowledge. That's huge for accuracy.
Absolutely. It lets you use AI in a way that's reliable and relevant to your situation.
How does Mendix help with setting up these knowledge bases?
Mendix gives you a few options. With the Mendix Cloud GenAI connector, you can use GenAI knowledge base resource packs. These give you everything you need to create and manage your knowledge base right in the Mendix Cloud. You can also connect to other vector databases like PG Vector if you want to manage it separately.
And what about the actual RG process? Do we have to build that ourselves?
Not at all. The Mendix Cloud GenAI connector has a retrieve and generate operation that does it all for you. You just connect it to your knowledge base, give it the user's query, and Mendix handles the rest.
That's so convenient. Can you give us an example of how RAG might be used in a Mendix app?
Sure. Imagine you have a customer support portal. You could create a knowledge base with all your product manuals, FAQs, and past support conversations. When a customer asks a question, the RG system searches this knowledge base, adds the relevant info to the prompt, and the LLM answers the question using your official resources. So the customer gets accurate and consistent information every time.
That's fantastic. So
Mm.
our RAG makes sure the AI is using our own curated knowledge, not just whatever it learned during its training.
Exactly. It lets you use the power of AI while ensuring the information it provides is accurate and specific to you.
This has been a really insightful deep dive into Mendix GenAI. We've covered so much. Let's recap quickly. We started with prompt engineering, which is all about giving clear instructions to the AI.
Right, like teaching a superhero how to use their powers.
Then we talked about function calling, where the AI can connect with other tools and take actions in your Mendix apps, like a clever butler who can fetch information and do tasks for you.
And lastly, we explored RAG, which gives the AI access to your specific knowledge, making its answers more accurate and relevant to your needs.
And the best part is that Mendix GenAI makes all these advanced AI concepts easy to use. You can build smarter, more helpful apps without having to be an AI expert.
Exactly. Mendix provides the tools and the framework to make it happen.
So, as you're thinking about the challenges you face and the opportunities you see, think about this. How could you use these Mendix GenAI capabilities to do more with your data? Could you use prompt engineering to get specific insights? Could function calling automate tasks in your business? Could our RAG help you unlock hidden knowledge in your data? We encourage you to check out the Mendix documentation and the GenAI Showcase app to see these concepts in action. There's a whole world of possibilities waiting for you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
All right, until next time.
See